Okay. Hello, everyone, and welcome to this fortnight's Great Shouts session. Every fortnight, we come together to discuss a B2B marketing topic. We have a specialist from the community who comes in and talks for us, then for 15, 20 minutes, and then we get to ask questions, like some nice grilling questions at the end. Anyone part of the community, up to about 125 people now, can jump on in any fortnight. And then I record the session and then I share it with everyone on YouTube for people to catch up. Today we've got Paul. Paul is definitely here. His camera's not working, but he's here and he's speaking. He's going to share his screen. And we're going to be talking about B2B SEO and everything around that. I am your host, Ed Davidson. I'm a fractional head of marketing. Any questions for Paul, stick them in the chat and then we'll ask them at the end. So Paul, over to you if you're right sharing your screen.
So thanks everyone. Sorry about all that. Good fun. That's the wonderful technical world we live in now, right? So I'm here to talk to you about complex analysis for simple sites. So your guide to B2B SaaS SEO. And I'm Director Ops here at Accelerate Agency. My name's Paul Wilkinson. Next slide, please. See, there I am. Proof. I have a face. Next slide, please.
Exist.
Yeah. Next one, please, Ed. I have more than 10 years in digital strategy, content marketing, SEO, and agency operations. And I'm also a bit of a sustainability nut. Next slide, please. Cue the hilarious comedy. And when I'm not effectively trying to help grow Accelerate Agency or try to be a good dad and husband, you can find me trying to build an eco-friendly product review site. Next slide, please. Called Most Eco-Friendly. So this is my little pet project on the side where I'm building out, like I said, an eco-friendly review site to help shoppers make more informed decisions about the things they purchase. But that's enough about me and my little spiel. We've got a lot of time, so I'll go into the deck now. Thank you, Ed. So the situation is we're here to effectively grow a SaaS enterprise site. We've got a B2B audience. We want to use SEO, and within a SaaS site, there's typically going to be lots of content we want to tackle. Next slide, please. And the challenge is, see, SaaS sites by their nature are pretty simple sites. We're not talking e-commerce. They don't have multiple SKUs, faceted navigation, lots of pagination, and millions of pages to index. They're pretty straightforward, simple sites. That doesn't mean they're small sites. They can be very content heavy, but they're simple. However, the crux of that is enterprise businesses, as a lot of us know, aren't simple. They're very complex. You have many stakeholders to appease, different hoops to jump through. You'll often have a website manager, a product manager, a marketing manager, and all these different stakeholders to sort of mitigate and try and get results for and buy as well. You'll also have to show fast results in this type of environment. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. And you'll have to combat a healthy skepticism around SEO. And the last challenge here really is ROI is somewhat harder to prove with SEO unless they've got really tight attribution set up. And it's really commonly compared to PPC. So you've got that sort of distinct use case there to push yourself up against. So that's the situation. That's the challenge. Next slide, please. So what's the solution? Well, what I'm going to talk about today is a single page analysis. But what is a single page analysis? Next slide, please, Ed. So a single page analysis is effectively doing a deep dive specific page level analysis based on specific keywords to identify all of the core elements of SEO, looking at technical content and links to really drill down and to understand what's going to be the most effective tactic for that keyword and that particular page to get results, to get quick wins. Next slide, please. So if we take into account what I've been talking about SaaS sites is typically they're going to have a real high authority. I don't know what the levels of SEO are in the room. I'm sure most people are familiar with these types of metrics, but these metrics here are domain rating and health score. So domain rating for each of these sites, as you can see, is really high. It's a score of 100, and it effectively shows these large enterprise sites, which I've worked on, have a really high authority. It also shows they've got a strong health score, i.e. that basically means they don't have many technical issues. This is only 4 examples, of course, of all the hundreds and thousands of SaaS enterprise sites you can work with. But this is really typical with SaaS sites. They're going to have, or enterprise SaaS sites, they're going to have built up authority. Why? Because they've been going for years. They have topical relevancy. They're well known in the industries. So they're going to have that high level authority. And because, as I said before, SaaS sites are pretty simple, they're either going to have a good, strong health score, i.e. they're not going to have too many technical issues, or if they have a bit of a low health score, they're going to be quite easy to move up. They're going to be quite easy to fix because see previous information about not having overly complicated sites with multiple SKUs like you might find with an e-commerce site. Next slide, please. So I could obviously talk about the entire end-to-end process of creating an overall SEO strategy from start to finish, but I don't have time here, and frankly, you guys would probably get bored of my voice. So I'm going to make a couple of assumptions to allow us to jump straight into what a single page analysis really means, how it's effective, how you carry it out, and what the potential results of that are going to be. So we're going to go on the assumptions that the site we're working on has a high authority. As I said, that's typical. We're going to assume that little technical work is needed. Again, very typical. And we're going to assume the base level work has been carried out. So we've identified, we've worked with the client, we've worked on the site, we've identified the audience, we've created that audience funnel, we've carried out then our keyword research, and we've mapped those keywords against where they sit in the funnel. And we've mapped them against the existing content on the site. And we've begun to prioritize those keywords and what we need to do to generate results for this client. Next slide, please. So what you'll end up with is something like this, or what we end up with. Now, I don't have the luxury of clicking into this and going into loads of detail and zooming in because I can't present because of the wonderful world that we live in of Zoom. But I'll talk through this so you get a good understanding. So what you have in front of you here is, with the assumption that those things have happened, you've now got your keywords that you want to target. So down the left, we've got all of the keywords, or a sample of keywords we want to target for this client. We can see the volume of those keywords, the keyword difficulty, and the cost per click. All of those metrics help us prioritize this keyword. But really crucially, we add in the topic area there. So we can see, okay, well, what topic area does this keyword relate to? That allows us to appease different stakeholders, as we talked about with big enterprise SaaSes. It allows us to show which areas of the site we're focusing on. It allows us to tailor content to those topic areas. It also shows here we've got a funnel position against all these keywords. That's really crucial, so we can create a full funnel strategy, not just rinse that bottom of the funnel for conversions, but actually start to top it up from the top and build out keywords and content for the middle of the funnel to continue to nurture as well. You'll see the next metric we identify is if it's a KPI page or not. All of our SEO pages we'll be working on will be driving towards improving our metrics like our traffic, our leads, and our conversion rate. But some of them will be focusing on specific KPIs, i.e. they're uber important keywords and pages that might correlate to a very, very specific KPI. So it's well worth identifying that and helping us prioritize. Then we look at the page template because, of course, we have the constraints of the template within the website. There's no point us creating a 5,000 word article on a product page where there isn't the right templates for that. That's not going to get past the client. That's not going to please the stakeholders. That's not going to get us results. And then the next thing we identify with these keywords is if it's a new page or an optimization, do we have to create new content for this, or do we have it already from our keyword mapping, an existing page that we can optimize that's ranking already? Then we identify, which URL we either need to create or optimize. And the last column we put there is audience type. So that really shows, okay, so we know what keyword we're targeting, we know how, and this is the audience, i.e. the person within another business that we want to be speaking to with this content here. I'm kind of rushing and jumping ahead a lot to get to the single page analysis, so I'll just do a bit of a recap. The reason why I'm looking at this in this way is this shows we've carried out those assumptions. This shows we've got to a client, we've done, it's got high authority, we've done the technical analysis, and now we've done all of our steps to get together a good keyword list that we know are going to drive real results for this client. And we can prove that showing that here, and we can relate that back to ROI because we can look at funnel position and we can look at traffic value, i.e. times the search volume by the click-through rate by the cost per click to equate a keyword value back to what you would bid on with PPC. So then that helps, tell that story of ROI, because when you're talking in terms that an enterprise business understands, they know the value of PPC. If you can equate ranking for free for a keyword and equate that back to the same cost per click, you can really show that value in that ROI. So we've made that assumption, all of those assumptions we've got this far with our keyword strategy. But the next most crucial part we want to focus on to get real SEO success is how do we want to spend that budget, or how do we want to work with that client, or if you're in-house, how do you prioritize to please your stakeholders? How do you really get results? Because what a lot of SEOs will do then is they'll go through all of these keywords and they'll think, I need to rank these keywords. If I rank these keywords, I get more traffic, I get more conversions. And that might well be true, but how are we going to know what to do that's going to have the fastest benefit? Because if not, an SEO will tend to go through the motions with every keyword. They'll treat every keyword the same. They'll optimize the copy, they'll clean up any technical issues on that page, they'll sweep through all of the other on-page issues, and then potentially they'll look at the backlinks. And it means you're carrying out the same work over and over again, but you can't effectively look at those quick wins. Ed, if you can go on to the next slide now. And again, you're going to have to bear with, and I'm going to have to talk through these because I can't zoom in to show you. But that's fine. I'm sure we'll make do, and questions at the end, can come, and then we can sort of, make the best of this. But the point is, if we want to then effectively get results for this large enterprise SaaS site, then what we need to do is we need to take our keyword that we want to target, and we need to apply this single page analysis. This effectively means what you can see at the top here in these different colored columns. I don't know if you can or can't see, but the first one says authority, then it says technical, then it says on page, then it says off page. This means what you can see here is we take a specific keyword that we want the client to rank for. We look at all 10 other results ranking in the SERP for that keyword, and then we look at our result ranking for that SERP, that keyword rather, in the SERP. And we examine this page, and we do this examination for every one of those keywords. We examine this page against the competitors across all of these metrics. And that sounds like a lot of work, but it's not, because we've managed to automate 90% of this. So we could carry out this analysis within seconds, really. So what you have there is, if we think back to our previous slide and we've got our keyword list, now we do a quick analysis against every single keyword. And this allows us to pinpoint what is wrong with that page, or what is needed for that new piece of content to effectively rank for that keyword. So let's take this keyword here as an optimization. So this page right now we're looking at is on our client website that I worked on, called Dialpad, and the keyword we're targeting is enterprise phone systems. So Dialpad is a VoIP provider, internet telephony. So to rank for enterprise phone system is exactly their ICP, exactly their target market. They want to pull onto that site because they've got enterprise businesses looking for a phone system for their business. So it's going to mean, it's going to effectively be a big contract for Dialpad if they can rank for keywords like this. So what you probably can't see, but what I'll talk you through from this analysis is, first it looks at the authority of the site, and it confirms what I said before. It confirms that Dialpad has a high authority. So it shows that at the very bottom row, again, what you probably can't see, shows the deficit. So that shows all of these metrics for Dialpad against the average of the SERP. So we can see for Dialpad, their authority is actually 3 higher than the average in the SERP. So this page not ranking top for that keyword, we can rule out it's an authority issue. We don't need to worry about topical relevancy for the domain. We don't need to do a load of digital PR to do a load of relevance. We don't need to waste our time there, because we know DR, we know authority isn't an issue. The next 2 columns then look at the technical aspect of the page, predominantly the 2 most important aspects that Google's currently plugging, and that's page speed and core web vitals. And again, our deficit shows that we actually have page speed that's 5 higher than the average. Our page passes all of its core web vitals when the other pages typically are failing core web vitals. So the reason why we're not ranking top for this is not a technical issue either. We can see that now, and we can dedupe against that, against the SERP. We then look at all of the on-page issues. So what the columns we've got here are word count, page type, internal links, and internal links with the head term, i.e. enterprise phone system, the main keyword we want to target. Now, it's so important we look at these metrics, because half the time it's just a content issue. If you've already got authority on that site, it's going to be really easy to rank it against competitors. But is your content fit for purpose? Well, we can see our word count's a little bit shy. So, on average, Google shows these pages have a slightly higher word count than ours. So, okay, we've got a little bit of a word count deficit to make up there. Page type is a really important one, because that identifies search intent. What is the user searching for when they type this query in? what you'll either see one of two things. In a SERP, you'll either see the same page type throughout. So this is informational, this is a listicle, or this is a product page. So that's one scenario. Or you'll see what's happened in this scenario, and it's quite a varied SERP. There are some informational pages, there are some blogs, there are some product pages, and there are some guide pages. That tells us that it's not such a priority to satisfy that search intent with a specific page type, as long as you get the information across to the user. I'm just going to take a pause here and just kind of summarize quickly, just to say one of the reasons why we look at what's ranking in this amount of detail is because everyone tries to work out, well, what are the ranking factors? What are we doing with SEO? What's the latest? Google will tell you every day how to rank for a keyword by literally ranking something else for that keyword. It is showing you what it likes in that SERP. Here it is. I like these things about this top result. So follow, this is the blueprint to ranking. You have to do this, but better. So that's why we're looking at all these elements. So jumping back in, we can see the page type isn't necessarily a problem then, because it's a varied SERP. And if we look at internal links, we've got way more internal links than these other sites, and we use the exact match anchor, i.e. the keyword enterprise phone system, more in our internal linking. Again, for those who might, I don't know how SEO nerdy everyone is in the room, but internal linking is going to be obviously a hugely important factor, because that reiterates within our site structure what this content is about, and it points to one page for one keyword. So when Google crawls your site, it understands where to go for these search terms within your site, so it doesn't start cannibalizing with other pages. If you use the same anchor across multiple pages, Google doesn't know which one you're trying to rank, and it effectively doesn't rank any of them. So that internal link is a really important factor here. But as you can see, our internal links are pretty shit hot. We've got 14 exact match anchors for our internal links. So that's not a problem. We've ruled that one out again. Now we get to the real crux of the problem. We look at all of the offsite metrics here. I'm going to whiz through some of these offsite metrics, but I'm going to give you a bit of an overview of what they mean.
Paul,
so
just
first
a time check. You're just, it's 21 past. I know we're a bit late in starting, but I just want to make sure we have enough time to ask a few questions.
Cool. All right, I'll whiz through. Effectively, what we're looking at with these offsite issues is what is going on with the backlink profile of this page. And as you can maybe see off from the very bottom deficit row, is there's a lot of red, i.e. we have a lot of deficits in our off-page strategy for this particular Darpad page trying to target this keyword. The main things we can see here is from these metrics, we have far fewer, we have just as many really backlinks pointing to that page as other sites, or with a little bit of a deficit. But our real deficit is we don't have links from authoritative sources, i.e. we don't have referring domains from other websites with a DR40+. So long story short, what I'm kind of getting to here with this analysis is say, by being able to automate and really quickly analyze all of our keywords in this way, this means we can pinpoint the exact work that's needed for every keyword we want to target for the client. That means rather than just going through the SEO motions and carrying out all SEO work to every page, we can satisfy some of those issues from a single page analysis. So if we move to the next slide, please, Ed. Well, actually, sorry, before I summarize, this is the result, by the way. As you can see, this is a snapshot of the SERP for this keyword, enterprise phone system. We identified the issues with that page. We built a load of links to it, obviously all with the right anchor text, with the right referring domains, with the right topical relevancy. And as you can see, we're ranking top for enterprise phone system. That's just a little bit of proof case, because obviously SEO does come under that microscope quite a lot to show that when we do this work, carry this out, which we did that link building work about 6 months ago now, and those links are bedded in. It shows we rank top. But this is in the US, so by all means, go in a clear browser search in the US for enterprise phone system. You'll be able to see that Darpad is ranking top or thereabouts. Next page, please, Ed. So in summary, from doing our single page analysis, that allowed us to be able to simply articulate issues, because every page we can pinpoint exactly the issue. So we can explain to stakeholders, if it's a content issue, we can speak to the content team. If it's an in-linking issue, speak to the web team. Or if it's a technical issue, speak to the development team. Or if it's an off-page issue, which means we can just crack on and build links without them. So we can get those problems articulated really simply. We can relate work back to ROI, because we can focus on a keyword level and liken that to PPC spend and show ROI through how they would with PPC. And we can identify and execute quick wins, because from our analysis, we can group all of the keywords, i.e. pages, that require the least amount of work to get results. So, steer away from the pages that need links, that need internal links, that need a full content review and everything else. And we can prioritize more effectively by analyzing a big enterprise site in this much more granular way. That's pretty much everything. I just thought I'd leave you with the next slide, which is a photo of how hard Ed and I used to work at the RAC when we definitely didn't spend all day just eating ice lollies sat at the tower. Next slide, please, Ed. For those who don't know, I used to work with Ed. He was my manager, so that's why I know he's such a good digital marketer. Thanks for listening, everyone. Sorry you couldn't see my wonderful face the whole time, and sorry I probably spoke at a million miles an hour, but by all means, ask away. Hit me with your questions.
Thanks, Paul. Yeah, those ice creams were so tasty at the top of that tower. We were just, enjoying it every single day. As I just remember the wind rocking the tower so much, you started feeling seasick. That's the great thing about it. Thanks so much. There was such load of amazing level of detail there as well. And look, we've got 5 minutes for questions. I know we had a few technical challenges, so I've got questions, but everyone else jump on the chat and ask, certainly. I think it's really interesting as well in terms of you talking about that structure, but the fact that it's what to focus on, because I think certain in-house marketeers or agencies will focus on what they're good at, or they'll scattergun and say, oh, we need to build loads of links, or we need to just focus on page, or we need to do this massive technical audit. By doing that and identifying where the weaknesses are, then you can really kind of zero in on the things that need to be done, and you have far more ability to be able to improve on the pages. So that, I think that's great. I suppose my question, and it always comes back to ROI, right? Often when you're talking to stakeholders, when you kind of made that comparison directly with PPC, does that only really kind of work out when you're talking about kind of money terms, or terms that PPC team are likely to be bidding on? Because is there that kind of direct comparison? Or can you also kind of build up to say we should be doing middle of the funnel terms because we're going to capture email addresses like we used to do at content at the REC, the content hub, and be able to chase those? How do you kind of work it out when you're comparing that with PPC?
Yeah, really good question. Like, money's the obvious one to talk about, and bottom of the funnel is what people care about most. So we take those pages, easily make them compare to PPC. But you're right about the purposes of the other pages in the funnel, middle and top. Like, top of the funnel is easy. You can just capture that on traffic. Are these pages getting more traffic? And you can apply other metrics like time on time, page per session, if you want to show it slightly more valuable traffic. But you still want to be growing that top line metric. It's also really important to grow that top line metric for an enterprise business, because while they'll say they only care about leads, you'll have a stakeholder at board level pointing at a traffic graph and saying, I want this to go up. So you'll always have to satisfy the optics in the room. So it's really important just to tie overall traffic metrics to it. Bottom of the middle of the funnel, you're quite right. If there's other attribution goals here, I think the real answer to that is down to how good the attribution setup is on the website, and then we can measure whatever, because we can do it on how well the page is doing for a keyword, and we can see exactly how much traffic a keyword is bringing in from Search Console. So Google gives us that data, and then if you've got good enough attribution, you can see whether in session or within a cookie window how people are converting against your goals from a specific landing page only from segmented organic traffic. Then we can quite easily correlate success and ROI to any page and any keyword, and then we can look at the work we've even done on that page to then actually put like ROMI against it. Like, we spent X amount of hours on this page, and this is what you get to at the end of it. And obviously that is accelerated growth. It's exponential growth rather, because when you rank a page, then it's still top. Unlike PPC bidding for every visit, you're just getting that traffic all the time, right?
Yeah, and that evergreen position, especially if you can hold it, is so powerful. So yeah, that makes sense. So a couple of questions from other guys on the call. So Jonathan asked, which tools do you? He said it was great Prezzo. Which tools do you typically use to gather this data? Is it something bespoke that you guys do in the agency, or are there classic tools that you guys tend to go to at the moment?
Yeah, just the classics. We use that analysis, that single page analysis. We use the APIs from Ahrefs, SEMrush, Search Console to pull in that data. So yeah, pretty simple, pretty straightforward stuff. Yeah. Well, I couldn't build the automations through APIs. It's simple for someone, but not for dunce like me. What was the other question we got? What steps would you take to increase linking? I mean, this is going to sound like a salesy answer, but it's used an agency, and it's going to sound salesy because I work for an agency and we do build links. But I've also worked in house where we've tried it. I've worked in agencies where we've tried and it hasn't worked. It's so hard to scale up that link activity. People will talk about digital PR, which is definitely useful, but in this instance, it's not. Your site already has authority and relevancy. You don't need to do a huge above the line campaign. Well, they probably already are anyway if they're a big enough authority. You need targeted links to win on targeted keywords. And that really is like like an agency, who specialize in link building. Because if you try and do it yourself and get it wrong, you could get penalized, and it's really dangerous. So yeah, not a quick, easy answer for that with link acquisition, I'm afraid.
So we're nearly at time. So just, I suppose, last question for me. This presentation, I know you work with you work with SaaS clients, so it's often B2B. Is there just anything where there's a clear division between B2B and B2C, or is the fundamentals still stack up in terms of what you're trying to do between the two areas?
That just comes down to experience, because what you're trying to do here is acquire traffic from other people within businesses, and there's no golden ticket to say this person searching is an end consumer versus this person searching is a high level marketer that works for a business that works for a contact center that wants to buy a VoIP. That just comes down to like the audience building workshop we do to really understand who their audience is, and then we map the keywords against those. And that's when you have to accept, within the keywords you target and within the traffic you get, some of them likely will be end consumers, but the story will tell itself in the conversions, and that's what you have to keep track of. And that's what allows us to understand, okay, was this the right page to go after? Because we're getting a lot of traffic and we thought it was bottom of the funnel, but it's not converting. And there'll be other clues like the SERP itself. If the SERP is really informational and it's not like clearly product pages appearing in the SERP, then it's probably just general information, like things like someone could be searching for what is VoIP rather than caring about an actual VoIP provider. So there isn't a golden ticket, but it comes with experience. And that's one of the reasons we only work on SaaS, because we can build out that nuance of knowing, we've worked with a number of different similar clients that mean we can spot the red herrings. We had one client, so I'll wrap up really quickly, that was obsessed with area code pages. They were a VoIP that wanted to rank for like, what is the area code, the phone area code for Chicago, and it's just users looking for like the first 6 letters of a phone number. But they were obsessed that this would be a VoIP play, and it didn't convert, pointless. So we had to prove that, unfortunately, the long way.
Yeah, no, sounds it's all about kind of purchase intent, isn't it? Right, look, we're 2 minutes on, so let's wrap it up. One last question from Nick. Love to get with Paul LinkedIn. What's his surname and company? Didn't catch it at the beginning. Last pitch for you.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it's Paul Wilkinson. I work for Accelerate Agency. Yeah, by all means, please reach out. Happy to just chat SEO or sustainability, and yeah, talk some SEO and links if you want.
Sounds good. All right, well, let's wrap that. Thank you so much. Sorry about the kind of technical stuff, but we got there in the end.
Yeah, sorry guys.
See you in a couple of weeks. Thanks a lot, Paul. Thanks a lot for the guys joining.
Thanks, guys.
See you again.
Appreciate
Bye-bye.
it. Cheers. Bye.